Wow, this looks very nice. I was thinking about this all night, and then now that it's here, you know the vibe. I was buying lotion the other day because I've learned that moisturization is just key to self-care, and there was regular and there's stress relief, and I was just like, why would anybody buy the former when you can have the latter? You know what I mean? I need to stretch. I'm gonna stretch right now. Does anybody else make really weird noises when they stretch? I do. I remember one time I was on the phone with my friend and I screamed stretching and she was like, "What are you doing? Are you like dying?" Hi. Hello. And welcome back to my witch obsession. I should probably say that from now on, but I always forget to. But in today's pick a card reading, we're going to be asking, what is the risk versus the reward? Somebody commented on this on one of the polls and I was like, wow, that's a cool concept. Let me do that. And so basically there isn't a specific topic at hand here. It's more of like you I feel like this video is basically gonna be for this reading is gonna be for people who are stuck at a crossroads right now in taking a leap of faith. Like, what is the risk versus the reward? So if you're asking about shooting your shot with someone, or if you were to continue on with someone, what is the risk versus the reward? If you're trying to make a business move, what is the risk versus the reward? You know what I mean? Things like that. And so basically that's what we're gonna be talking about in today's reading. So yeah, so for pile one we have this garnet with the Moon Void Tarot. And then for pile two, we have this sodalite. I call it sodalite. I think it's called sodalite, but I like saying sodalite because it's soda. With the Gothmancy Tarot. And then we have pile three with the citrine and the Nightmare Before Christmas Tarot. And then we have pile four with the Labradorite with the Beauty Tarot. So yeah, if you've already chosen your pile, please like, comment, and subscribe because I'm like a YouTuber. You know what I'm saying? This is like my dream. But anyways, but yeah, if you've already chosen your pile, proceed. If you want to sit and listen to me ramble, hi. Oh my god, you guys! So I'm kind of excited because I've just been having good vibes for this past few days. And I feel like I've really done a good job of snowballing that good vibe. Because I feel like I was just really miserable up until these past few days. I was just not okay. I was like, girl. And I was just not thriving. And I was just so upset with everything. And I feel like I was taking things personally. But I'm feeling a little better. I'm slowly getting it together. I'm slowly making moves. I'm fighting for what makes me feel nice, and I think I'm going to cut back on recording twice a week and instead do 4 piles for videos, because obviously 4 piles takes a little more effort. And I was thinking, I'd rather put one very good video every week than 2 pretty decent videos every week. I was just in that mindset. I don't know, maybe it's the Virgo midheaven, but and I don't know, for those of you that are going through it, just know it does get better. It does pan out, whether it seems like it or not. I most certainly didn't think it would. And I don't know, December has just been very eye-opening, very humbling, and there's still some things that I need to patch up, and I hope it goes right. I'll keep you updated, so see you at your reading. Hello, pile 1, if you chose the Garnet and the Moon Void Tarot. This is going to be your reading or your risk versus reward assessment. So we're going to get into the tarot soon, but I pulled 3 cards and each of them represents something different in this reading, obviously. But the first, so I pulled this card to show what's your general energy in this ordeal or just in general. And we got the World Weaver. And then these 2 cards represent the actual risk and the reward. So for the risk, we have choice. And then for the reward, we have begin. So, right off the bat, pile one, I feel like with this World Weaver card, I very much seems like you're a person that is a heavily premeditated and intentional person. Someone who moves with a lot of purpose. Whenever I see Garnet, I just think of Capricorn because that's January and I have a lot of Capricorn friends that are born in January. But and so, whether or not you are a Capricorn, we have this spider here on this card. And let me tell you, I'm terrified of spiders, but the more I learn about them and the significance of them in different cultures, the more it alleviates my arachnophobia. But that's neither here nor there. I'm mentioning that because spiders are a very patient creature, you know. They take hours, days to make a web, and, you know, if it gets torn up, they just take a sigh or whatever spiders do in frustration and they start all over again. And I very much think that you embody this energy, pile one, not calling you a spider or nothing, but you know what I mean? I feel like you're a very patient person, and in this ordeal that you may be stuck in, I feel as though you have been thinking a lot and you've been ruminating, perhaps taking little baby steps. I don't know how to describe it. You're very much the person that's focused on the big victory, you know, the prize. You like winning the war, not the battle. And I feel like with this choice card here, I think the risk is a lot more about you wasting time or you kind of sitting in the standstill more than an actual risk being present, pile one. And I say that because I feel like you're persistent enough and well spoken and all of the above enough in order to get yourself out of a situation that may have been less than optimal, especially if you were to have made a decision that got you there. And what I mean by that is if you make a mistake, I feel like you'd be very good at getting yourself out of it, making up for it, patching things up, because I feel like you're a very likable person. I feel like you're a very respected or respectable person, someone who just really cares and takes things very seriously. I feel like you're the type of person that people can really count on you. You probably have heavy earth in your chart, maybe even water or fixed qualities in your chart. I like just throwing those out there. It's a lot of fun. They don't have to resonate at all, but for those of you that need the extra confirmation, you know. And I just feel like you're a very intentional person, and I think that a lot of the reward lies in the fact that you would be able to begin something and that you would really excel with the forward movement. Because I almost wonder if there's risk being the choice card. I almost wonder if you already deep down know what it is that you want to do or what decisions to make at this point right now, but you've just been hesitant on it for multiple different reasons. I'm hearing that you haven't been able to start, perhaps because of the holidays. At the time you may be watching this video is timeless, but it's December right now, so for those of you watching when this video is uploaded, you may be delayed by the holidays, but obviously there's a lot more holidays coming up even after Christmas, like New Year's, and then we have Valentine's Day short after, and then a bunch of stuff happens in January all the time. But I feel like a lot of the risk has been put into the waiting game, pile one, and I feel like you've been kind of stagnant. And not like stagnant like you've been stuck kind of way, but rather you've just been stuck at a crossroads for a very long time now. Whatever very long means to all of y'all, you know, it could be 1 day, 1 hour, 1 year. But what is coming to mind is that spiders may be very diligent and hard workers, but a lot of them, once they build their web, they stay with the web, you know, they stay in that one spot. And you know, it's like they have to wait for things to come to them. And I almost wonder if you've been on that mindset, pile one. But I feel like you've already gotten your signs. I feel like you've already, like, you know deep down at a subconscious level what it is that you need to do. And honestly, pile one, waiting is totally an appropriate option. But I also feel like the waiting's destroying you because you may be like an impatient person. And that's for some of you, not all of you. But I just feel like this choice card gives me a bunch of different messages, but the most prominent one being is that, like, there's a lot of choices at hand here, and there's just this underlying anxiety as to which choice to make, obviously because this is a risk versus reward. But I feel like I feel like you're measuring up, like you're weighing a bunch of different options right now, and I feel like you've been stuck at this crossroads in the sense that you don't know which option will yield you the best outcome. And honestly, pile one, I just want to say with this begin card here, the outcome really relies on you, because I just feel like no matter what cards you're dealt, no pun intended, or what hand you're dealt, or what you're served, you'll make the best of it, and you will be able to, like, you're the type of person, like, you could renovate, this is just an analogy, but this is like, you could renovate like a $50 property into like an $1,000 property. And what I mean by that is, I feel like no matter what choice you make, pile one, you will maximize the tools with the tools you're given, and you will really truly create like an optimal situation for yourself, and you're really able to turn a lot of things in your favor just by the fact that you're so diligent, and you're also just very, I'm hearing like eloquent. I've been obsessed with that word lately, but it keeps popping up in my mind here. I feel like you're very persuasive and a convincing person. So maybe this decision to be made here doesn't really necessarily deal with your actual decision, but rather convincing others to go along with you. I am seeing like multiple hands and eyes here, and I noticed that there's 2 pairs of eyes, but then like 1,000,000 hands. Let me count. 7. That's an odd number, but I feel like, oh, that makes me think a bunch of different things. So there's 7 hands here, which means that there's 3 pairs, but then there's there's like an extra hand. So I almost wonder if this entire situation deals with multiple people, or it deals with just other individuals. And the fact that there's 7 hands, but humans only have 2 hands each, I feel like basically what I'm trying to say here is that there's one hand that doesn't have another hand with it. And so that makes me believe that there's somebody in your situation that's kind of like half-assing things, or someone that's 50% in, you know what I mean? And I feel like with 2 pairs of eyes here, it just seems as if though there's like this disconnect with seeing eye to eye. And I just feel like you're kind of at a crossroads right now in that sense too. I keep saying crossroads, pardon me, but I just feel like there's a lot of decisions to be made here, and I feel like the reason, maybe you are a very decisive person, pile one, but I almost wonder if this decision to be made has been kind of, how do I say, affected by others, in the sense that other people are kind of causing drama, or there's a lot of people talking, lots of disagreements. There's just trouble seeing eye to eye. And honestly, pile one, I almost wonder if you've been pretty passive about it, and you've been just kind of waiting for others to make a decision, even though it's seemingly the case is that you already know what choice to make. So with this begin card here, I think the reward of this situation is that you'd be able to start anyways. But I also feel like with the risk card and everything that I have mentioned, I feel like within this context, a lot of the risk deals with other people getting in the way. So maybe you've been asking other people for guidance, or maybe you've been asking other people for their opinion. And I just want to say, pile one, not everybody has the best intention, or not everybody understands how much this situation actually means to you. So I would say that you should make a decision that you already concluded in the beginning, because you very much knew, but you've just been hesitant. I feel like you're the kind of person that's like, you've already decided on something, but you just want to hear other people say it. And I just want to say that with this begin card here, a lot of the reward would just be you being able to move forward, period. And I think that would be a lot of the reward in itself, because I feel like with this World Weaver card, you've been in a very introspective state. You've probably been doing a lot of thinking, a lot of to yourself kind of energy. And I think that just recently you may have started reaching out to people, or you've been wanting to reach out to people to get, more context, or more, how do I say, opinions and voices on the matter. But I just want to say, pile one, like I said, I don't think that is the best decision. And I think that you risk losing your opinion amongst the crowd because they're influencing you. But yeah, let's get into the tarot. And the way I'm going to pull the tarot today is I'm going to pull a few cards for each side to kind of, you know, like provide context for the risk and the reward. That was intense. Is anybody else excited for this new moon in Capricorn? I am. Like I said, if this video is timeless, so if you don't have a new moon in Capricorn just yet, you'll have one soon, don't worry. Because the moon goes in, you know. I don't know why I felt the need to explain that. I was feeling goofy. Alright. What is the risk and the reward for pile 1? What is the risk and reward for pile 1? I got the King of Pentacles. I'm going to put that on risk because I was going to pull the first card for risk. And then what is the reward for pile 1? What is the risk and reward for pile 1? There's 2 cards, it's too many. I only like doing 1. At least in this situation. Alright, I think that's good. I didn't do 5 shuffles today. I know I'm changing things up. I'm sorry. And then the reward is strength. It definitely seems as if though... Okay. So with the King of Pentacles being on the risk side, I almost wonder if a lot of the risk runs with money, and I almost wonder if this entire situation deals with something monetary or something that deals with finances. But that could be for some of you, not all of you. But I feel like coworkers are involved, bosses, you know, family. But whatever the case may be, pile 1, I really do feel like a lot of the risk runs with your ego and your finances, to be honest with you, because Pentacles is finances. And not saying that you'll like lose money over the matter, but I just feel as if though in this situation it seems as if though it's either nothing at all or just the reward. And so I really in this sense think that you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. But with that context, the real value is your time. And I just feel like you very much are not the type of person that likes wasting your time. So I do think that that is a risk you'll be running in this situation here, is that like you'll really risk people getting into your business, people, you know, saying something, and you know, people getting in the way, and lots of things dealing with time and money. And like I said, I don't want to come off as like you'll lose money. And I think that is like, I don't think that is necessarily a huge risk you run here. But obviously you know your situation better than anybody, so just take that into account here. But I do want to say that money is of the essence here. And I feel like it also deals with your ego, because King of Pentacles to me is a very confident card, and it is somebody who feels very secure and stable. So I feel like a lot of your feelings of stability are at risk here, and maybe even your ego. I feel like it's more towards your ego in the sense that like if you mess up, or like if this doesn't go the way you want, maybe I feel like you'd be embarrassed, or like you would be like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe that didn't go the way I wanted it to, and all of these people were in on it, all these people were watching me, I told all these people. But with the begin card here, it doesn't seem as if though this entire ordeal deals with like a huge roll of dice and that's the end all be all, but it just seems as if though it's something that's more meticulous and something that requires a lot of finesse. And I feel like with the begin card here and the strength card, it really does seem as though the reward really deals with you feeling more humble and you feeling very strong. And I feel like for a lot of you, you will feel very empowered and feel very supportive and supported, in the sense that I feel like maybe some of you want to succeed, in the sense that you want to provide for people around you, or you want to make it for people. What I mean by that is maybe you want to provide for your parents, maybe you want to provide for some family members, someone needs your help right now, maybe someone needs money and you want to help them, or maybe some of you just want to make it for yourself because you have been wondering about this situation. It just feels as if though there's this leap of faith to be made regarding business and regarding money, and I just feel like you have an audience that is watching you, or waiting for your next move. And I almost wonder if this decision to be made deals with other people. And I know I've been saying that, but I want to provide it in a different context. And what I mean by that is, I feel like you have to come up to a group of people or specific people to make a decision, or to kind of tell them, hey, this is what we're doing next, Be like, call the desk lady, be like, hey, this is what we're doing next. And call the office person, being like, hey, this is what we are doing next. You know what I mean? There's a lot of communication involved here. And I just think that with this strength card, a lot of the reward will deal with you feeling very in your power and feeling very rooted, feeling very like excited to move forward. I'm just sensing that like it would be this fun new adventure, and it would be something unlike you've ever experienced, honestly, pile one. And I feel like there's a lot more to gain here than you think, and I think that it deals with just more than your situation here, or like your finances and your feelings. I feel like there's so much more to gain from that. And with the King of Pentacles on the risk side, obviously that could also be turned into reward. So I almost wonder if a reward could be financial in the sense that you could gain a lot of money, or you could gain a situation that could make you a lot of money, or you could gain through more materialistic goods, like you get a gift, you get a prize, you get like a flat screen TV or something like that. But I just think that these cards seem to kind of go hand in hand with each other, in the sense that the risk could be the reward and the reward could be the risk. And I just think that you could really take this either way here, but I do think that one thing's for sure is that one thing that's at stake here deals with time, money, the more material realm, and also your ego, I feel. But simultaneously, everything is to gain in those areas, And I just think that the risk deals with more moral things, but the reward deals with more materialistic things, in the sense that I feel like the risk itself would be the defeat itself, as opposed to you actually losing something. It doesn't matter if you lose like $1. I feel like that would still irritate anyone if they could have gained like $50, So I feel like that's the situation at hand here. I feel like the risk itself in the loss that is, possible, isn't nearly that big, but in terms of your ego and your morals, it is pretty big, because you don't want to lose. I feel like you're a competitive person, but the reward is so much bigger, in the sense that you can gain a lot more than what you could lose. And I feel like simultaneously with winning, or, reaping the reward, I just think that your ego would also be boosted by that, It's like, I don't know how to describe it. Because I'm sensing that if you were to gain all of this stuff in the material realm, you would be kind of, to be expected. And I feel like your ego wouldn't grow nearly as much as if your ego would decline if you lost like $1, I don't know how to describe it. I hope that made sense. But I'm going to pull one card for each side again. We have Rose Quartz for choice. And then we have 9 of Cups for the reward. I don't know why I said choice. The risk. So the Rose Quartz is actually an exclusive card to this deck, and it has a meaning, but I never read into it. I just look at it for what it is. It's Rose Quartz. And Rose Quartz obviously deals a lot with self-love, love. Perhaps for some of you, there's a lover that you want to impress, or a lover that you want to support, or a lover that you want to like help. But that's for some of you, not all of you. I just think that once again, this deals with your self-love and yourself in general. And it almost seems as if though this makes me think like if you were to lose, it would be like you need Rose Quartz. Those people that are like, I think it's so funny when I go up to people and I'm like, hey, I've been feeling this one. They're like, you need this crystal. And I'm like, how did you know that? Are you a book? But with this Rose Quartz here, I just feel like a lot of the risk, once again, just deals with, your perception of yourself. I feel like you're your own worst critic, and that's why I feel like this is such a risky situation, because I just don't think that how much there is to lose, actually, like how much you perceive there is to lose versus how much there actually is to lose, is equivalent. I feel like your perception has really magnified the loss, in the sense that you feel like it would be like the end of the world, or that it would be way worse than it actually is. So I just want to say, pile one, regardless of what has resonated in this reading, or regardless of what you picked up on this reading and what I've said, just know that like you need to be easier on yourself, and you need to be more objective even with yourself, and really take it for what it is. And you need to be more realistic even with yourself, because you're not a superhuman. You know, you're only human. You're not, I don't know, you're not Jupiter. You know, you're nothing more than human. You're only human. And so in that context, be easy on yourself, and you will naturally notice that this situation is not as risky or treacherous as you would have initially anticipated. But like I said, the Nine of Cups for the reward. Need I say more? Nine of Cups is literally the wish fulfillment card. It is literally about dreams coming true, wishes coming true, all of the above. You just gained another cup, and you're one step closer to the Ten of Cups. Emotional fulfillment, success, you know, feel goods, all of that, all of the above, serotonin, you know. And I just feel like your wish fulfilled. That's really all that needs to be said with the rewards here. And I think that could be said for anybody. Obviously, the reward for across the board is going to be like a wish fulfilled. But I think that in your reading, it's especially highlighted in the sense that you really don't understand how much there is to gain here, pile one. You know how much there is to gain, okay? But the feeling that will come with it is unmatched. It's like you've discovered nirvana. You will not be able to imagine. But yeah, I'm going to pull one more card for each, and before we kind of wrap things up here. Okay, for risk we have Hierophant, and then for reward we have the Empress. Ooh. So yeah, I really do think that for some of you, a mother could be involved, or like a motherly figure, or that is just for some of you, not all of you. But I think that I always like mentioning that for the Empress card, because every time I pull that card, it just seems as if though there's something about motherhood being involved. But obviously that's for some of you, not all of you, for those of you that need the extra confirmation. But in general, I feel like a lot of the reward deals with abundance and being in your power and being comfortable, you know, being in this feminine state where you're just attracting all the goods, and everything that you want is just coming to you naturally. You know, you're just in this flow state, you know what I mean? They always talk about the flow state where you're like spending, then making more, you know, like the more you give in, the more you receive, you know, all of that good stuff. And I just feel like with this Begin card, this could be like a much more long-term situation here. I feel like this could, for some of you, be like starting something new, and you're kind of deciding, hey, like, what would the risk versus the reward be going into this path? So I definitely do think that this is a more longevity based thing, and maybe that's why you're so nervous, because you don't want to waste your time on something that didn't even work out. But honestly, pile one, I think that once again, you shouldn't doubt your power that much, because I feel like if you're in a good vibe and you get things started, it will be a lot more than you could have ever imagined, and you will really reap the reward. I know I've been saying that a lot, but I just feel like you don't really understand that you have a say in this. You know, you have a lot more control over the outcome than you think. And it's like, if you're in a good mindset, and I feel like when you're diligent and you're ready to work, things get done, and you are capable of like moving mountains, you know? And I think that a lot of the risk here with the Hierophant card, I feel like you're just very worried about your peers' opinions, or you're worried about other people's perception, or, you know, other people's opinions. And honestly, pile one, I just want to say, don't worry about it, because it's going to be a work in progress regardless. And honestly, in this world, people don't really love you until you've actually made it and are successful or have proven a point. That's just how it is, you know? And not to be a Debbie Downer about it, I don't want to like be like, oh, like you might feel alone in this, but just know that with this Rose Quartz card here, the Empress, and this Nine of Cups, there's a lot more to gain than you could imagine, and it all deals with self-love, external love. And I feel like the way you treat yourself is highly reflecting on how others treat you, or like you're very afraid of people talking to you the way you talk to yourself. And I'm mentioning that because I feel like that has really like demonized the risk here and made it so much more outrageous than it actually is. So just know that it's nothing like that, and it is all in your head, and it all deals with your perception of the situation. And that's, you know, the concept of risk and reward. Not to get all existential here, but I just think that's really all there is to say about it, in the sense that you mustn't worry because there's nothing actually to be lost here except just a few small things. And honestly, I feel like that deals more of time, you know, wasting your time. And would it really be a waste of time if you found out that a project wasn't gonna have longevity? You know, I think it's a time saver to find out that a project is gonna be not it, as opposed to trying to force something that isn't gonna work, you know. But yeah, that's all I have for you, Pile 1. Basically, the risk is all in your head, and how much there is to lose and how much there may be at risk here is not nearly as much as your mind has made it out to be. And how much there's to reward, you have a lot more to gain than you have to lose. So I just want to say that, Pile 1, use your own discernment. You know, but I don't know friend. You know, I'll give you crazy advice and I'll be like, but I don't know. So, you know what I mean? I'm that friend. But I just want to say that, Pile 1. And yeah, that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this reading helped. I hope it resonated. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Bye. Hello, Pile 2. If you chose the Sodalite crystal and the Gothmancy Tarot, this is going to be your risk versus reward assessment tarot reading. That is a mouthful. Oh my gosh. But okay, so basically I pulled 3 oracle cards to get us started, and this card is representing your current energy in the situation. And we have boundaries. And wow, I did not explain this at all. So basically this is your reward, not your reward, your situation, like how you feel, like you're kind of like why you may be in this crossroads. And then I pulled 1 card for the risk and the reward. So we have 2 cards here. So for the risk, we have anxiety. And then for reward, we have fire. So Pile 2, the first thing that stuck out to me obviously was the boundaries card. This is such a statement deck, but it really sticks out to me because I almost wonder if like you struggle with people pleasing, or if you are struggling with a situation because you're kind of mixing up your own needs and your own desires with other people's needs and desires. And I almost wonder if that is causing a lot of confusion. But right off the bat here with the anxiety card on risk, I think a lot of the risk is kind of in your head. I was kind of telling this to Pile 1, but it was a lot different. But I just wanted to mention that. But with this anxiety card here, I feel like you run the risk of stressing yourself out a lot more. I almost wonder if this situation you're asking about deals with a relationship and picking up on a family member, but that's for some of you, not all of you. And I feel like you really run the risk of stressing yourself out and biting off more than you can chew and kind of putting yourself in a very compromising position. And I feel like I almost wonder if this situation feels kind of inevitable, in the sense that I almost wonder if you have no choice but to go forth like this, or to make this decision, or to move forward in this direction. I almost wonder if the boundaries card, if you've kind of had to make changes in your life because of feelings of anxiety, nervousness, you know, all of the above. But I just think that an overall theme here is that regardless of your case, I feel like you really run the risk of stressing yourself a lot more than you need to, and kind of literally shackling yourself. I'm noticing handcuffs on these hands, and just kind of like the eyes are looking in different directions. You know, I just feel like you really risk yourself kind of being in a situation that you don't want to be in. I feel like this deals with like being there for somebody, or kind of like picking up an extra shift or something. And For some of you, this could deal with a mother. I'm noticing that in this card, the moon has kind of this shocked face, and the reason I say the mother is because the moon is represented by the mother. But like I said, it's for some of you, not all of you. But I just feel like regardless of the case, like, I'm gonna stop saying that's for some of you, not all of you. That is so repetitive. I'm just like thinking in my head, I'm like, wow, if I was watching a reading and they kept saying that, I'd be so annoyed. But anyways, anyways, I just feel like a lot of the risk, it's very simple. It seems like a clean cut because with the reward, with the fire card being in reward, I just think that a lot of the reward deals with passion and deals with you being able to move forward and feeling good about yourself and being really confident and also having a drive to do things that you probably have been putting off. I'm sensing that maybe for some of you you've been procrastinating, and maybe that's why you feel kind of shackled up, or you feel kind of like, handcuffed to a situation because you're kind of like, ooh, like, I don't know if I should keep going or if I should wait for this person, or you know what I mean. I just feel like a lot of this situation deals with other people or your perception and your feelings for other people, both platonic, romantic, familial, all of the above. But I don't know, pile two, I just feel like your reading is going to be very short in the sense that with this anxiety card, it really does kind of explain everything in the sense that I feel like you really are running. And I feel it's kind of interesting that I keep feeling called to mention the anxiety card over the fire card, and not like in a pessimistic way, but I just feel like you're leaning more towards making decisions based on anxiety, and you're leaning more towards making decisions for the greater good of others as opposed to yourself or anything like that. I just feel like you're not prioritizing yourself in this situation. And I just think that if you were to prioritize yourself, you'd feel pretty freaking good about it, and you'd be a lot more hyped than you think you would be. And I feel like by helping yourself, you'd be able to help the people in your life a lot more than you think. Because, I mean, think about it. What sounds better? Two anxious people or one person that's anxious and with a person that's feeling themselves? It's... like I don't know how else to say that. But I just feel like with this boundaries card here, I do think that this situation deals a lot with how much you care about others, and that's why I kind of said people pleasers, because I almost wonder, excuse me, I just like yawn. Are you tired? I'm not tired. I don't know why I yawn like that. But anyways, with the boundaries card, like I said, I just feel like it deals a lot with people pleasing, and I do think that I do feel as though you've been considering yourself. When I say you haven't been prioritizing yourself, I don't mean like you've been completely setting yourself aside and you care about everyone else except yourself. But I do feel as if though that the boundaries and where you draw the line has become a little bit translucent, and you haven't been very bold with them, very clear with them, and your intentions have probably been kind of misconstrued by multiple people. I'm sensing a lack of understanding between you and other individuals in your life, and maybe that's what's causing this anxiety. But just know, Pile 2, you really need to understand that people who truly care about you in the end will understand what you're going through and what's going on. We don't have to explain ourselves to people that don't get us, or people who simply just do not want to listen. And it's like, if you have to constantly repeat yourself to people and like set your boundaries and reiterate them constantly, just know that they don't respect you, they don't care about you, and you really need to take that into consideration. For those of you that are going through that, there's a channel on YouTube called The Wizard Liz. She blew up literally out of nowhere. I saw her in this one TikTok, but basically her channel talks a lot about self-empowerment, and basically it's just her telling you, like, get your life together. Why are you settling? And it's really amazing. I highly recommend her. She's lovely. But I'm mentioning her in this situation because it's like, it seems as if though you are leaning more it's like you're at odds with yourself. You're really in your head like, I don't really know, like, I care about these people a lot, and it's like, but honestly, Pile 2, if people truly care about you, they would want you to make decisions that are best for yourself. And there is an appropriate time to inconvenience yourself for others. I think that's a very nuanced topic, but as a general rule of thumb, it'll be pretty obvious to you when you're in a good state of mind when you should inconvenience yourself for others. But when you're in this anxious state, not saying that you are pile 2, but just in general, like if you're not feeling anything and you're going through it, you're not in a position to inconvenience yourself for others, you know? And I just feel like you really run the risk of inconveniencing yourself in a time where you really should be focusing on yourself. And by doing that, you'll really ignite a lot of passion within yourself and you'll really be excited. This makes me think, because there's a lot of matches on this card, and that immediately makes me think of the Ace of Wands from the Midnight City Tarot. And honestly, I just feel like a lot of new beginnings are possible for you, and a lot of excitement is possible for you. But on the other hand, you really, this genuinely feels like risk versus reward. Like you really run the risk of stressing yourself out to the max, like needle in red type stuff, versus like new beginnings and like happy beginnings and like starting something new and really feeling everything around you and being a lot more passionate and overall just more motivated to move along. And honestly, pile 2, even in that state when you're feeling yourself, you're still able to help other people, you know? But I just feel like with this boundaries card, maybe people have tried to convince you. Otherwise, people have tried to tell you, hey, no, you can't do that, do this. Or don't do it like that, do it my way, you know? Or I've noticed you know, like people who try to like diagnose you and people who try to like say that you're going through something or tell you how you're feeling, you know? And once again, that's very nuanced. But what I mean by that is, how are people going to tell you how to feel? How are people going to tell you what you're going through? How are people going to say, you know, what is it that you're dealing with, you know? And set your boundaries right there, because you're the only one that's 100% present in your life, and you're the only one that sees 100% of everything that comes your way and everything that you deal with. So how is anyone going to tell you what you're going through or how you're feeling, you know? Like, they're not you. And honestly, I feel like that's a very important message in this reading, and it's a very important message in general to kind of provide some light on this risk versus reward assessment we're doing here. But yeah, I just want to say, pile 2, don't confuse other people's needs, their feelings, and all of that for your own. It's not like that. You have your own specific, unique set of needs and desires. And if people aren't willing to cater to that while they're asking for something, maybe they should like rethink everything and like go like get reevaluated, having an intervention, you know, because that's just so inconsiderate and so thoughtless and selfish, you know. It's just, how dare somebody ever put all of your needs, your desires, and your wants aside just to highlight their own and exploit you, you know? That's just not, as Gen Z, a Gen Z would say, it's not the vibe. Oh my god, have you guys seen that HRH collection TikTok where, or that meme where she was like, it's not the vibe, stop! Anyways, if you haven't seen it, just Google HRH collection. It's not the vibe. So hilarious. I highly recommend it. It will really dictate. That's what you need to say. That's what you need to say to this situation and be like, it's not the vibe. Oh my god, that's so funny. Anyways, let's get into the tarot. So this is the Gothmancy Tarot. You probably knew that. It's probably why you chose this. Oh my god! Cut the cameras. Pile 2, when I tell you I dropped all of the cards all over the floor, I'm just like, I feel humbled now. I'm like, wow, I was being so chaotic and loud, and I just feel like now I'm in a more better headspace. I feel humbled, and honestly, I should take it down a notch, shouldn't I? Anyways, I was feeling it though. That was fun. Yeah, this is the Gothmancy Tarot for those of you that don't know and you just like clicked before. I don't know. Let's just get into it. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna pull one card for the risk and the reward. I'm gonna like do it like that. It's better to show you than to. I don't know. What is the risk versus the reward for pile 2? What is the risk versus the reward for pile 2? What is the risk versus the reward for pile 2? By the way, I'm leaving that in. Me screaming, that was hilarious. Honestly, if you needed a laugh, there you go. If you didn't appreciate that, you should have known in the beginning that I'm very chaotic. That's just how I like it. But anyways, so for the risk, we have Six of Pentacles. And then for the reward, we have Six of Cups. Ooh. Okay, this is, as a tarot reader would say, interesting. And I say that because, okay, I think it's really cool how we have a 6 on both sides here. So it really does seem as if though how much there is to lose is exactly how much there is to gain, and vice versa. How much you have to gain is exactly how much you have to lose, pile 2. And I feel like with the Six of Pentacles here, there's scales here. So y'all could be a Libra, or you could have Libra placements in your chart, which would explain why you may be prioritizing other people. Not trying to call you out, but I'm just saying. But Six of Cups also makes me think of Pisces, so maybe y'all are Pisces, I don't know. But those are for those that need extra confirmation. But with the Six of Pentacles on the risk side, I really do think that the risk deals with more of a financial situation that could be kind of, okay. I don't feel as if though, because with the Six of Pentacles, it talks about give and take. So I don't feel as if though there's necessarily money to be lost here, but rather a flow to be broken here, and a flow that is going to be lost here. Perhaps whether it be like a job, or like, you know, how many hours you were getting, or how you've been going at it, you know. I just feel like it deals more of a system rather than like a routine, or system rather than an actual amount to be lost here, you know what I mean? And I just think that maybe that's why you've been pretty anxious. I feel, not saying that you literally have been anxious, you know, but I do feel like for the majority of you, this has been a situation that may have cost you some sleep, has cost you some, you know, I'm talking like nail biting, you know. It's just very nerve-wracking and very unsettling at the very least, you know. Whether or not it's causing you actual, you know, nervousness, I just feel as though this is a situation that is like, wow, I'd really rather get this over with and really just move forward, you know. And I think that that's why you may be at a crossroads right now, because you're like, maybe for some of you, you're like trying to quit a job or something. And I do think that a lot of the risk deals with your flow state, and it deals with, you know, how you've been dealing with things in the 3D realm. So, you know, money, like career, school, things like that, grades for some of you. But I just think that with the Six of Cups here on their reward, I feel like with the Six of Cups on the reward, a lot of what you have to gain deals with your inner child and what you truly have desired for a while. And this could mean anything for y'all. Obviously, when I said inner child plus desires, something came to mind, that. But I really do feel as if though with this fire, because fire card is obviously fire, but the Six of Cups is a water card. So that makes me think of like when you pour water on a fire, you know, it doesn't make it better, it makes it worse because water has oxygen in it. And that makes me think that like there's a lot of sizzling energy to come in the reward, and it'll be very tantalizing, I'm sensing. I feel like it'd be very exciting. And I know, I feel like I'm painting with a lot of broad strokes here, and I'm being very vague, but that's because I just feel like it's about the feeling itself rather than the actual gain, you know what I mean? The 3D realm is pretty petty in this reading, in the sense that it really deals with your feelings and your perception of things as opposed to what you're actually gaining. I almost wonder if to you, like, monetary gain and things like that are pretty irrelevant to how you feel and you don't really put too much value on it. But I do think that it is still something that you take seriously to a degree, but it isn't something that you allow to rule your life. But I do feel as if though money is a dictating factor in this risk versus reward, in the sense that I feel like you don't want to quit a job because you're like, that whole saying of like, oh, that's your only source of income. But honestly, y'all, there's so many ways to make money. And it's very nerve-wracking, don't get me wrong, but I just think that your peace is a lot more important, and honestly, your mental health is far more sustainable than money is. And what I mean by that is, if you take a huge hit in your bank account, you can make that back, and you can get it back by whatever means possible. But if you take damage on your mental health, Chili, oof, that is like long lasting damage, you know. Like when you're a kid and okay, if you were 5 and you lost $100 versus like you witnessed something traumatizing, you made the $100 back by now, but the traumatizing event is still very possibly still sticking with you, and you have to like deal with that, you know? And I'm saying this, pile too, because I just want you to understand that what you have to gain really deals with your inner peace and you realigning with what it is that you want to do and how you want to move forward, especially in terms of your finances, you know. Maybe for some of you, you've been wanting to do something creative or you've been wanting to do something. And I just want to say, like, this reading is timeless, but at the time of I'm upload, this is probably going to be the new moon in Capricorn. And there's a lot going on. And I think that maybe when you're watching this reading, there's going to be Capricorn themes going on. But by mentioning that, I just want to say that like this is a great time for you to manifest new things, especially in terms of the financial realm or like the 3D realm, pardon me. And I just want to say, pile two, yes, there is things to be lost here and there are things to put at stake, but I think that that's very much worth the roll of dice if it means it's in the name of feeling better and gaining peace back, and also setting down clear boundaries and keeping people out that shouldn't be anywhere near you, you know. And I just think that that's so much more valuable than like losing a job, you know. It's like you can apply for other jobs, but you can't really just fix the damage that a job does to you, you know. Like, I don't know if you've ever been overworked, Pilot 2. Perhaps you have. I feel like you have. Maybe you're overworked right now. But I just want to say, like, you don't really. Okay, this is from personal experience. I am very much a workaholic, and I am someone that can really push themselves. And I'm not a bragger about that because I really have pushed myself to the limit before, and it is very damaging. And I quit a job in September, and I've still been recovering from that. You know, I still sometimes get negative vibes from the work field just because of that. You know, it really messed me up. And for a month, I was just so apathetic and I had no drive, you know, and all I wanted to do was work. That is so unhealthy. And I just want to say, Pile 2, you need to understand that I keep going back to this point, but I can't stop reiterating it because it is so important. What you have to gain deals with your peace and your motivation and your passion to start something else that will be way more rewarding than whatever it is that you have going on in the past here. Whether it be a job or like a situation or like a relationship, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be a job. I know I keep referencing like money and finances and stuff, but I just feel like with the themes going on in today's like in like the world right now, I think that this is a very relevant topic. But for obviously for some of you, it doesn't have to be that way. And I just think that if you literally pick the sodalite crystal here, I do think that a lot of the issues has been lying within your ability to think clearly and use your discernment properly. And I just want to say, Pile, to like there, it's really not as much as you seem. The decision to be made here is a lot more clearer than it seems. And I just want you to know that obviously no one likes taking risks, especially when it seems as if though it's risky and it's dangerous. But I just think that there is so much what there is to gain really outweighs what there is to lose, because I just feel like what there is to gain will provide you with so much more, you know. And what I mean by that is it's like you're dealt, I don't know, a flower pot with like, you know, plants AF versus like, okay, this is like gonna be a very specific analogy and bear with me here, but would you rather start with like an $80 plant that's like fickle, like an $80 fiddle leaf fig, or would you rather start with like $5 fiddle leaf fig seeds, you know, like from the eyes of a beginner? And why I'm saying this is because yeah, you can have the whole plant right there, but it doesn't offer you nearly as much potential as the seeds. And that's what I'm saying here, Pile 2, is that like a lot of the risk deals with like, yeah, there is something to gain here. It's true. Like what you're doing, like this situation, like I think that, okay, I'm like confusing myself because I'm just getting so many like ideas and messages, but I just want to say like how much there is to lose is exactly how much there is to gain. And I know I've been saying that, but basically, like, yeah, you have all the more to gain with this huge plant, but also it could literally die at any wrong move and boom, $80 down the drain. Whereas if you get $5 seeds, like, it will grow and naturally acclimate to the climate you provide it in. And sure, it's gonna take more time and it's gonna be kind of a pain in the arse, but in the long run, it's so much more sustainable because the plant's more used to the climate that it started in, and you can learn about it as you move forward. And it's just, you get to see more of your hard work pay off, pile 2. And I want to say that I feel like you have a lot to offer. Okay, enough rambling. I'm going to pull more cards. Hopefully that wasn't boring. But for the risk, we have 2 of Swords. And then for the reward, we have Wheel of Fortune. Ooh, the Wheel of Fortune is a very favorable card in this context because the Wheel of Fortune literally talks about good luck and changes happening. Whether that be good or bad changes, they will still happen for the greater good of you. And I just think that with this 2 of Swords combined with the 6 of Pentacles defining the risk side, I feel as if though a lot of the risk once again it deals with your indecisiveness and being kind of like in this stagnant state of anxiety and kind of just like freaking yourself out, if you know what I mean. And I just feel like with the Wheel of Fortune, with the 6 of Cups, there would be a lot of changings pertaining to things regarding your childhood for some of you. And I feel like, okay, if it doesn't deal with your childhood, I feel like it just deals with something regarding your childhood. Like, it doesn't have to directly be from it, but I'm just, basically what I'm trying to say is, like, I feel like a lot of changes would happen that would really satisfy your inner child. And I feel like your inner child is very creative, pile 2. All of our inner childs are very creative, but I just think that yours has something very unique to bring to the world and something cool to bring to the table. And I just think that you have a lot more creative juices than you think. And I think that if you were to set boundaries and really move forward with it, a lot of good things would happen. And whether or not you see a ton of payoff, like, you will feel a lot better and a lot more inspired moving in this direction. And feeling inspired can literally move mountains, especially in your case, pile 2, because I feel like you're a very analytical person or someone who is very thought oriented, head over heart. And I almost wonder if that's why this situation has been kind of confusing or perplexing or just like in general maybe seemingly treacherous, because your heart and your head are kind of out of balance in the sense that your head is kind of taking over, and because of that you've been thinking your way through everything even though you have specific feelings, and because of that there seems to be this kind of like rift and misalignment between your thoughts and your feelings. And I just feel like because of that you feel the satisfaction but you think that it's nothing, you know what I mean? You know, you're trying to make sense of all of these feelings and you're trying to rationalize constantly, but that isn't serving you nearly as much if you would just feel your way through it more, because I feel like your feelings are the reason that anyone would move forward in something they want to do. You know, I think that our feelings at the end of the day are what's ruling, in the sense that, you know, like, what sounds better, I feel good or I think I'm good, you know, that those two things weigh so much more differently on the heart and the head. But I just want to say, pile 2, like, honestly, I feel like a lot of us move forward and a lot of us do things in the name of our feelings and in the name of feeling better, you know, feeling in control, feeling powerful, feeling abundant, you know. It's not about thinking we think to manifest the feels. Or, you know, it can go vice versa, but I think that that's really how it is, especially since our minds are so powerful. But I think that whenever we disregard our heart, it's kind of like our mind is kind of stranded and we get very nervous, we feel lonely and things like that. And I just think that with this 2 of Swords, that's kind of like the dynamic that I'm presenting here, in the sense that, like, you're all up in your head, it's all thoughts, it's all logic. Like, notice how on the reward we have the 6 of Cups, but on the risk we have Pentacles and Swords, which is more earthy, more airy, more thought-oriented, more logic-oriented. But on the reward side, we have more feeling-oriented, more good luck and change, and kind of letting the universe do its thing. So I just feel like, not to say like, oh, like go rogue and like quit everything, and obviously there's specific situations that don't allow that, and every situation solicits a specific amount of decision making and a specific amount of risk taking. But I just want to say, pile two, like you'll never know if you don't start. You don't necessarily, like, for example, like if you're working at 9 to 5 and you want to start like a YouTube channel, that doesn't require you to quit the job, but like take that leap of faith and start the YouTube channel and see how it goes. And there is a way to make these decisions in a safe manner, and that is a little bit more risk free. And just know that like the risk runs in you not starting it at all. With the Two of Swords here, I feel like a lot of the risk deals with if you were to not start it at all. I feel like that would cause a lot of stress and a lot of wonder and a lot of what if scenarios, and we all know where the what if scenarios lead us to. We all know what happens when we start doing that. And I just want to say, pile two, like you also need to set your boundaries with people, because I feel like with this Two of Swords and Six of Pentacles here, like I said, you could be dealing with some people pleasing, and I think that maybe you've been like, maybe for some of you, you've been like lending money, or you've been lending like your opinions. Something about lending, something about people borrowing from you constantly or taking from you constantly, and not really giving back, in the sense that like they're not matching your energy. They're not giving back nearly as much as you're giving out. Or there's a situation that solicits so much more of your energy, time, and resources than what it's giving you. It's like you're working, like that term whole working for free. It's like you're making money, obviously, but you're working for free, because like it's just like the amount that it's taxing on your resources and your emotions and your health. It's like that is nothing compared to how much you're making. At least that's my perception of working for free. And I just want to say, pile two, a lot of I don't know, I keep reiterating the same thing, but I just think that a lot of the risk does deal with you staying stagnant and staying in a position where you're not necessarily happy. And a lot of the reward deals with you being inspired and moving forward in an area that you never thought you'd be able to, or in a situation where you were hesitant. Yeah, I'm gonna pull one more card for each side before I kind of wrap things up here. So for risk, we have Seven of Swords. Ooh, that's interesting. And then for reward, we have Page of Swords. Wow. Okay, lots of swords here. But I just want to say, Pile 2, the reason I said the Seven of Swords is very interesting here, because I feel like that's exactly what it is. I feel like it deals with a lot of power plays and dishonesty. I feel like there are people that are making power plays against you, or people that are purposely putting you in this state, and not maybe at like, they're probably doing it at a subconscious level, but I do feel as if though there could be people around you that have malicious intent, and I would be very careful. Get yourself some selenite, because I'm that person. But just protect yourself, and very much just guard yourself above all else. If you're going to absorb anything from this reading, it's to protect yourself. Sorry, I just yawned again. I don't know why. But I also think that with the Page of Swords being on the reward here, I feel like if you were to move forward in the reward, like the reward seems to be like you being more secretive and you being a lot more smug, and like I feel like I'm getting this feeling of like, whenever you tell someone you did something amazing, like for example, like you got a new car but you didn't tell anyone about it, so like you pull up to their house to go pick them up, and they're like, whoa, you got a new car? And you're like, yeah, I got it a pretty long time ago. That's the kind of vibe I'm getting from this Page of Swords, this smugness and this kind of like confidence, and not like smug in a bad way, but like more in like a sneaky, like yeah, like ooh woo, like tee hee kind of way. You know what I mean? I've like, like you're talking to someone and no one knows, and then y'all get together, and then people are like, whoa, y'all have been together? And you're like, yeah. And they're like, wow, they're so like attractive, and they're so like, wow, or like, you renovate your house or something, and you tell. Basically what I'm trying to say is a lot of the reward you'd be keeping secretive, I feel, and or at least if you were to broadcast it, people would be very surprised, and you would feel very confident, and you would feel very sneaky with it. Like, like, yeah, like, y'all were doubting me. Y'all were saying that I couldn't do it, but look at me, It's like, it's just a sense of you've accomplished so much more, and it was a lot about your own satisfaction, your own inner child, and people would be like, people wouldn't know, and people wouldn't realize it. They honestly might forget about you, but once you pull up, they're like, what? How did they do all that? What is this? Like, suddenly they have an apartment in New York, and suddenly they're just like making tons of money, and they're with this really hot person, It's like, we weren't expecting that. Like, it's just like, people won't be expecting how much you're capable of. And honestly, I feel like with the Seven of Swords here, that really plays hand in hand with that scenario, in the sense that, like, people are being sneaky, people are being very doubtful of you, and people aren't really being honest with you, and people think that they can, like, one-up you constantly. And honestly, it's because you have a very potent energy, pile 2. I do think that your energy is very, like, I don't know, like, everyone wants a slice of it. I feel like you're a very charismatic and very magnetic person, and people always want a slice of your energy, or, like, just, like, you want a piece of me, and people are like, yeah, I do, But I do think that pile 2, like, to kind of wrap up this reading, I think that a lot of the risks, I'm just going to reiterate and summarize the reading. A lot of the risk is not necessarily something to lose, but rather what's to lose is what's to gain, It's like, it hasn't necessarily happened yet. It's not like you're going to be losing $50. It's like, there's $50 to gain, and if you don't, coordinate properly, that $50 won't be gained, and that's technically $50 lost, if you know what I mean here. And so you really risk being stuck in a stagnant situation, or a situation that is exploiting you and kind of squeezing you, and kind of just putting you in a very confusing, and I'm gonna say it again, smoke some mirrors, just very disorienting. And what is to be gained deals a lot with satisfying your inner child and bringing good changes into your life, and putting yourself in a more favorable position in which others would not have expected. So yeah, that's all I have for you, pile 2. Thank you so much for watching. If the reading resonated, like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, I love you so much. Bye. Hello, pile 3. If you chose the Citrine and the Nightmare Before Christmas Tarot, this is going to be your reading. I'm very excited about your reading. When I was pulling the oracles, I was like, I cannot wait to do pile 3. I can't wait to do all the piles, but pile 3 really stuck out to me because I resonated with it personally. So, okay. Your reading is going to be a lot. Okay, let's just get right into it. So I pulled 3 oracle cards. This one is the risk, this one is the reward, and this is kind of like your energy in the situation. So for your energy, we have Shadow Queen. Right off the bat, I picked up Scorpio vibes from this reading. Just saying. But for the risk, we have Forgive, and for the reward, we have Support. Pile 3. The reason I was very excited to do your reading is because it feels very intense. And I love doing intense readings, Maybe it's because I'm a Scorpio. But with the Shadow Queen here, I just feel like you've noticed something. And when I say that, you know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, basically what I'm trying to say is, I feel like what you've noticed is that there is a pattern in your life. I feel like you've noticed that there is just there's something that isn't satisfying you, and something that you realize needs to be addressed, and you realize that there are decisions to be made, moves to make, and you're a lot more in control over your perception of your lifestyle and your life in general. And as a result, you've realized how much more control you have over your feelings and the circumstances. And I feel like because of that, your manifestation powers as of late have been very potent. And I feel like a lot of the risk has been dealing with forgiveness and making mistakes. I feel like there was a time in your life where you realized you were making choices for the hell of it. I feel like there was a period where I feel like right now the crossroads and the risk versus reward deals all about swallowing your pride and kind of just moving forward and asking for help. Not, and maybe not for you, like a lot of you, it's asking for help, but rather just like restoring relationships or restoring something that you lost, you know? And I just feel like there's this I feel like some of you may be very hurt and very upset. And not to say that that's exactly how you feel. You could be over the moon right now watching this reading, but I'm just saying that there is this sense that there's something in your life that you aren't satisfied with, and this reading I feel like is addressing that because you've recently been addressing it. And I just want to say that, like, leading up to this point, pile 3, I feel like you've gone through a very turbulent era of your life. It's been very difficult. And honestly, I can relate, pile 3. Maybe up until recently did you not start feeling like a person. And I can totally resonate with that. And that's why I'm excited to do this reading. But with this forgive card on the risk side, I just want to say that the forgive card seems to me that a lot of what you're risking deals with your peace and a lot of your ego. And I just want to say, like, if you are restoring relationships, seek forgiveness above all else. Seek that above all else. And I know, basically, okay, this is going to be a little bit personal, and I don't want you to, like, but anyways, next week I'm actually meeting up with my ex, and I'm actually going to ask them for another chance, because when I broke up with them, I honestly was not in a very good headspace. And I honestly ruined his entire life, and I broke his heart. But I'm going into this situation seeking forgiveness and seeking, like, how do I say it? I don't know how to say it. Just seeking forgiveness and just seeking peace, you know? It doesn't matter whether or not he rejects me. At this point, I could care less about that. It's all about being able to forgive myself too. And I feel like pile 3, a lot of you maybe need to forgive yourself, and you need to open your arms and you need to open your heart to support. And I feel like a lot of the reward here deals with emotional support. I feel like you're going to be very lucky if you swallow your ego, you know? I feel like if you relinquish and surrender your desires to control and your just innate need for things to go your way, or for things to just like make it seem like you're not bothered, you know, just kind of like keeping that stone cold exterior. I feel like you need to surrender that, and in turn you will receive a lot of love and a lot of support. And obviously with this forgive on being risk, obviously making yourself vulnerable, it risks being hurt. That is a very real risk. I'm being realistic here, okay? I wouldn't lie to you, but I just want to say that it's a double-edged sword, because I was thinking the other day, because someone told me, they're like, I'm so glad you're so emotional. And I thought about that, because being so emotional, there's a drawback in that you feel pain very deeply, but in that sense, you also feel joy and love very deeply, you know? And I just want to say, pile 3, you may be the type of person that reacts very severely to people having a negative opinion on you, or like if someone were to say something to you to specifically hurt you, if like someone betrayed you, like you would feel great pain from that. But also I feel like in turn you feel great love and great support, and feel all these amazing things when people do support you and people look out for you, you know? And I just think that moving forward, it's very important that you address this part of yourself, and you understand that how vulnerable you choose to make yourself, and how much you decide to be open to the fact that you might get hurt, that's exactly how much you will receive in terms of love and support. Because I think that you've paid off a lot of karmic debts. Like, it doesn't, I feel like pile 3, this could, like, whatever this situation applies to, whether it deal with money, work, love, I am sensing that this is a more personal matter. I feel like anything related to the 3D realm has been put second, and you've put like a lot of this spiritual growth and a lot of your emotions first, because I think that you realize that a lot of the things in the 3D realm were extremely irrelevant and trivial to your well-being and how you felt. You realize that there was a lot of things that weren't sustainable in your life, and you've probably gotten rid of them. But I feel like it's the sense of like you got rid of everything, and now it's time to get back what was serving you and what did feel good. It makes me think of like Germ-X. Like it kills 99, like it kills like all germs, even the good bacteria. But there's like, it's about getting the good bacteria back and regenerating that. Our body regenerates that stuff. It comes back. But I just feel like you felt like you had to do a major spring cleaning, quote unquote, with your mental health and a lot of your emotions. And I just want to say, Pile 3, regardless of your case, I'm really proud of you. And I just want you to understand that if this is stuff that you're addressing and this reading is resonating, like, I truly commend you, because it has been such a turbulent time, especially if you are a person with a lot of fixed signs in your chart, because it's been a tough time leading up until this era for everyone. These past few months we went through hella retrogrades. There was an eclipse season. All of this stuff was happening, a lot of changes and turbulence. And you literally took it upon yourself to declutter your whole life. And now you're kind of realizing that by getting rid of everything, you realize what it is that you want and what it is that you want to like make room for. It makes me think of like reorganizing something, and how to do that. You take everything off and then you put things back where you like it. And I feel like that's what you're doing, Pile 3. And I just want to say that the risk and the reward are kind of intertwined in this, is that what you believe you'll be losing is exactly how much you'll be gaining. So if you think that you're going to be receiving negative opinions from other people, or you're going to be receiving some heartbreak, just know that that is exactly how much you can gain, in the sense that you could be gaining really great opinions from other people. You will also be gaining lots of love and lots of affection. Whatever it is that you're afraid to lose, or whatever it is that you're afraid will come to like be out to get you, is exactly how much you'll gain, Pile 3. So let's get into the tarot. I'm very excited. Ooh, I know these readings have been kind of short. I don't like being overly wordy, even though I am overly wordy. I'm also just really impatient. Whenever I see a reading and it's like 40 minutes, I'm like, ooh, I'll watch that later. And then I never do. And then like a month later, I'm like, oh, I remember this. And I turn it on and I fall asleep. It takes me a while. But I eventually get around to it, okay? Anyways, this is the Nightmare Before Christmas tarot. If you didn't know, if you just kind of picked the prettiest pile, which I totally respect. Anyways, what is the risk versus reward for pile 3? What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull one card for each side, move on that way. What is the risk versus reward for pile 3? One more time. What is the risk versus reward for pile 3? I'm not doing 5 shuffles today. Okay, so I took a loud exhale. I promise that was just like... Anyways, for the forgive side, or like the risk, we have 7 of Needles. That's very... Okay, I'll get into that. And then for the reward, we have Death. Yes, I definitely sense Scorpio energy in this. Listen, I may have a terrible gaydar, but I have a pretty good Scorpio dar. I don't know. I just feel like I'm good at sniffing out Scorpios. That's just a me thing. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I like should go outside, but I'm going outside after I film this, okay? Anyways, with the 7 of Needles being on the risk side, you know how I was talking about that fear of negative opinions being on you? I just want to say, pile 3, regardless of who you are, when you put yourself out there, people are gonna have a negative opinion on you. That's just the way it is. I know it's kind of a harsh truth, but I think that that's very much a harsh truth that you accepted. And I feel like that's the reason why you've been kind of guarding yourself. But I just want to say, pile 3, by closing yourself off to the negative things, you're also closing yourself off to the positive things, It makes me think of like when you have a death grip on something, sure, it's not leaving, but that also means nothing can come in to replace it, even when that thing that you're holding onto is no longer serving you, And I'm just like sensing that like, oh, you could stay safe, that's totally valid, being as human beings, all we want is comfort, and all we want is to feel safe, within our relationships, within our home, within our finances, everything, all of the above, within our own bodies. But I just want to say, pile 3, if you keep choosing comfort, you will grow stagnant, and you will be in the state of mind where you just feel apathy and dissatisfaction, and sometimes even being overworked and being upset with everything. Nothing pleases you as much, and suddenly novelty is just so much more scarier than it actually is. And I would know because I'm a very stubborn person and I rely too much on routine, but sometimes I literally become a slave to it. And with this death card being on reward, I just want to say that a lot of the reward comes from literally getting rid of things that no longer serve you. You know how it's the death grip thing? I feel like that's very relevant to you. You keep holding on to something, and that's fair, but nothing better is coming to replace it. You can't in order for a snake to grow, it has to shed its old skin, and that's such a cliche analogy, but it's very relevant in this reading, In order for you to get rid of things that aren't serving, you have to let it go, and it's gonna hurt at first, It makes me think of like cutting hair, Like you have to cut off the dead end so that it can encourage better hair growth. Maybe if you want your hair to be curlier, you cut a little bit more off and all of that stuff. There's so much more that goes into it. If you keep focusing on what it is that you're going to lose, you're going to tunnel vision and you're not going to even realize how much more you're going to gain, And it's just, sure, moving houses is scary, but you'll have a lot more room and you can bring whatever it is that you, honestly, this is a quote that I just want to say. I watched this video. It's called, her channel name is like Southern Sounds ASMR. And I watched this video where she's talking about moving. And she said, whatever it is that you're bringing to your new home, just know that if it's clutter in your current home, it's going to be clutter in your new home. And honestly, the reason I feel called to mention that pile 3 is moving forward in your life, if there are things right now that are cluttering your life and are stressing you out, just know that it's going to be clutter once you start moving forward, And like I said, you may have done some deep cleaning with your psyche and a lot of your emotions and your headspace. Just know that by bringing things back into your life, that's totally valid. And whatever it is that you think is serving you, bring that back and, make an effort. But also don't bring excessive habits and unhealthy things back into your life, because if it was unhealthy in your previous state of mind, it's going to be unhealthy in your current state of mind, That's how I feel about a lot of substances. That's how I feel about coffee. I feel like for me, coffee is good here and there, but when I start drinking it on a day-to-day basis, I start relying on it, and it's just just know that things in moderation are okay and it's acceptable, and it's only relevant to our human nature of indulgence, But I'm mentioning that because obviously I feel as though coffee is something that clutters my life, but I do think that there is a time where I just get rid of it, and there are times where it just needs to be moderated, And I think that's relevant in the sense that maybe you have you have a collection of rocks, and there are rocks that aren't nearly as valuable, and they're cluttering your space, and they're preventing better new rocks that are more valuable and rare from coming in. So it's get rid of those, moderate it, and you'll bring a lot more abundance and a lot more value to your collection, That, hopefully that made sense, but that was such a far-fetched analogy. But with this Shadow Queen card here, I was reading up on it because I've been trying to get better at using this oracle deck here, and it said you may be realizing that you've been repeating mistakes, and you may have realized that there have been cycles in your life that keep passing, yet it feels as if though you remain stagnant and you're constantly going through the same thing over and over again. And it's a call to address negative habits in your life, and it's a call to address negative mindsets in your life or negative thought patterns. And that's why I'm saying that this is probably a very transformative era for you, pile 3. And I just want to say that regardless of the case here, just know that it's really about how much you're willing to open up, okay? And I do think that that's maybe something that you've been thinking about. I do think that that's something that you're like, that's probably what you're asking about for a good portion of you, is opening your heart up and getting back out there, whatever that may be, you know, whether it be applying to jobs, you know, because I feel like what I'm trying to say here is, I feel like whenever we like watch readings like this or participate in readings like this, it has this like very spiritual air, you know. It's like, oh, like this is cluttering your mind, there are habits, this is a very transformative era in your life, and it comes off as this like crazy, like you're sitting in the middle of a forest, like meditating, awakening type moment. But really, sometimes all that transformative era is just transitioning jobs or allowing yourself to open up to somebody, you know. That's transformation, you know. Transformation seems like a word that's dramatized and people make it out to be like this big thing, you know. And not to like hate on the collective for it, because that's totally valid, because transformation can be huge, and more often than not, the context that the word is used in refers to the huge transformations and huge awakenings we have. But sometimes it's not even like that, you know. Sometimes it's just as big as like us changing our routine, us deciding to go on a 15-minute walk every morning, us deciding that this relationship is not good enough, or us deciding that the relationship was good enough and that we want it back, you know. Sometimes that's what the transformation is, you know. Sometimes that's what solicits the use of that word. And I just want to say, pile 3, like, I'm saying that because you need to understand that this is a transformative era for you, and it doesn't have to be a severe magnitude, okay? I'm not using that word lightly or strongly here. I'm just saying that word in whatever way that applies to you. You know, if you decide to start buying new coffee, that's pretty transformative for you. But if you're like literally going in the midst of like moving houses, breaking up with someone, all of that, that's just as transformative, you know. But anyways, I'm gonna pull more cards here. Oh, before I do, I just want to say, with the 7 of Needles here, I do think that all the cards that will be pulled in this risk and the reward, they're gonna go both ways. So negative opinions on you can be good opinions on you. Things to be lost and let go are things to be lost, you know. It's all about your perception, pile 3, and it's all about what you choose to make of your reality, because I do feel like that has been the defect in your life, in the sense that a lot of the issues that you may have faced dealt with your perception of your reality and how you feel about things and how you choose to react to things, you know. And I really love that quote, like, of like, it doesn't matter what happens to you, you have no control over it, but you do have control over how you react to it, and that is what creates your reality. And I just want to throw that out there. Okay, let's pull more cards. So we have King of Potions for the risk, and then we have the Star for reward. I just want to say right off the bat here, notice how for the reward we're pulling major arcanas, and then for the risk here we're pulling, like, you know, just court cards and things like that. And immediately off the bat, that just makes me want to say how much there is to gain is so much bigger than how much there is to lose, because it's based in your reality and your perception, you know, your perspective. You know, if you perceive as what there is to lose as bigger than what there is to gain, what do you think is gonna be the reality, you know? And I'm saying that because pile 3, okay, this is bothering me because this card's overlapping that one, but this one's not overlapping this one. Let me fix that. But pile 3, just know that your reality is what you make of it. And I keep reiterating that, but it's very important. And I think that what there is to lose here, it really does deal with your emotions. I really do think that a lot of this deals with your feelings, and a lot of this deals with your capacity to cope with things. I feel like maybe you're in this mindset of like, I can't take this anymore. I can't take another one. Like, Love is a Game by Adele. Like, I can't, you know. I just want to say, like, pile 3, okay, first of all, I don't know if y'all like Adele. Who doesn't like Adele? But I just want to say, like, listen to 30. The word transformative, when I think of that word, I think of that album. I think of that, you know, like, my bestest friend in the whole world, she actually told me that, yeah, I love that album. It's so transformative. And, you know, that album it means the world to me. It's the first album I ever fully listened to all the way through. But anyways, I digress. I just want to say, like, what there is to gain and what there is to lose is based on both of these cards, all these cards. I just said that, but with the King of Potions, I feel like what there is to lose deals with new emotions, new good feelings, and new, I said this to a bunch of the other piles, but, just because when I say what there is to lose, it's speaking more of the fact that you're losing what there is to gain. So, like, for example, if you can gain $50, but you don't take that leap of faith to gain that $50, that's technically $50 lost. And that's what I'm trying to say here, pile 3. I feel like remaining in this negative cycle, in this stagnant stage, it's causing you to pass up on a lot of opportunities, and those are the loss themselves, because you're hanging on very tightly to something. And I feel as if though that's fine, you can hang on tightly to that. You're not losing anything, and in that sense, you're winning, but also you're not gaining anything, and you're not allowing things that will better serve you to come into your grasp. And in that sense, are you truly winning? And with the Star card here, with the Death card, I just feel like what there is to gain is beautiful. Like, even this card itself, this is such a beautiful card, and there's just, with the support card here, you really have the ability to move forward and to really enter a more healthy and happier emotional cycle. And I just want to say, pile 3, it's totally valid to be afraid of feeling negative feelings and feeling scared of it coming on again, and I totally resonate with that. But just know that no matter what, like, you're gonna go through it, even people in a healthy relationship, even people who are making 6 figures, even people that, like, it doesn't matter what your circumstances are, or what position you're in, or what your state of being is. We all go through the same feelings, and we all go through periods of existential crises, and going through it, we all feel good things, we all feel terrible things. It's all the same, we're all human. And in that sense, pile 3, I really encourage you to understand that, like, opening up means that you're gonna be making yourself more vulnerable to those negative feelings, but like I keep saying, you're also gonna be opening yourself up to immense support and just releasing these things that aren't for you, and in turn bringing so much more inspiration and a lot more guidance into your life. I feel like in bringing that, letting go what it is that's holding you back, you'll feel more inspired, and where it is that you need to move forward in will be a lot more evident to you. It's like, if you're in a relationship and the person's constantly telling you, like, hey, like, you need to make your decisions based on this way, or like if you feel like, you need to go to the same college as this person, or you need to live near this person, or you need to move with this person, suddenly all of your decisions that are based, because this is, the Star cards ruled by Aquarius, and you cannot tie an Aquarius down. And I'm saying this because if you got rid of the things that you think are helping you, you would realize that those things were severely, like, influencing your decisions, and those decisions weren't even 100% aligned with your true desires, And then so getting rid of those, you will feel lost, but in the sense, you'll know where to move next. And honestly, isn't in this world, and just knowing your next move, that is so much more valuable than anything, because honestly, after what we've gone through as a collective here, I really do feel like your next move, just knowing what that is so valuable, and it's just so inspiring and so comforting. So yeah, I'm going to pull one card for each side here, and before I kind of wrap things up. So for risk, we finally have the Lovers. Wow, relationships may be very relevant to you. And then for the reward, we have the Chariot. Wow. Okay. All major arcana for the reward, and then only one major arcana for the risk. So I feel like what there is to risk here, it seems as if though for some of you there may be a decision, but obviously it's a Lover's card for some of you, it could be a relationship that is at risk here. And honestly, at that point, use your own discernment. You know your relationship better than I do. But I just want to say, like, if you're in a relationship that's holding you back from doing things that you want most and preventing this forward movement, whether it be moving to a place that you want to live in, because it is the Chariot card, and that deals with Cancer, and that deals with, home, And so if there is something that you want to move forward in your life that really inspires you, you know, I feel like maybe there's a creative endeavor at hand here. And I just want to say, if there are any relationships that are holding you back, either A, that person can yield to your desires and your dreams and compromise and work it out with you and, you know, talk it out with you, find the 50-50. If they aren't willing to do that, that you have your answer right there. And I think that, honestly, the Chariot really speaks for itself. You know, the Chariot talks about forward movement, you know, hands on the wheel, or in this case, the sleigh. And, you know, it's just, what's interesting is that this card here, I've never seen this movie, excuse me. This card here shows this like dog puppet thing. And then the Chariot card, the dog puppet thing, the reindeer are kind of chasing it, you know. And in that sense, I feel like a lot of the reward deals with you having a direction and knowing where you want to go, you know, without the confines of a relationship, of a neighborhood, or anything that may be holding you back, a job. And obviously you don't have to let these things go or kill them off, but it's just that whatever it is that you're, or maybe for some of you, you're trying to gain a relationship, or you're trying to, like, you know, like I said, like, it goes both ways. But I do think that there is a relationship of sorts at stake here. And just understand that do what feels right and do what feels like will make you happy. Like, you are entitled to your happiness. You are entitled to being in love and being in a state of love. And the minute you get that across your head, it'll be so much easier to move forward. Because the hardest part is making yourself believe you deserve it in the first place, because of the way we were raised, all of us. And it's time to break that cycle, and it's time to just release that and surrender the fact that you, whether you like it or not, Pile 3, you deserve love and you deserve good things. So yeah, I'm just going to sum up this reading by saying, Pile 3, the risk deals a lot with what there is to gain. And what I mean by that is you have the potential to gain major inspiration, a direction, love, support from multiple different sources, romantically, platonically, in terms of relationships, and then financially, everything. You have the potential to be greatly supported, but by holding on to what is not serving you, you are preventing that from coming into your life, and in that sense, you're losing all of that. You know, there's nothing to lose in your current state if you stay in it, but, you know, there's nothing to lose. Like, you are not in a position to lose what you already have, but rather to lose what you have yet to gain. So yeah, Pile 3, that's all I have for you. If the reading resonated, oh my gosh, if the reading resonated, like, comment, and subscribe. But I love you so much. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. Hello, Pile 4. If you chose this Labradorite and excuse me, this Beauty Tarot, this is going to be your risk versus reward assessment reading. So I have 3 oracle cards here, and basically this card represents kind of your overall energy in the situation, and then these 2 cards represent the risk and the reward. So for your overall energy, we have Lunar Masculine, and then we have I mixed these up. For It Gets Better for the risk. I remember because I shuffled these off camera, I swear. And then for the reward, we have Connect. That sounded so sus. I'm so sorry, Pile 4. It's not like that. But right off the bat, Pile 4, the thing that I call, like, about this Lunar Masculine card is, in astrology, the moon represents our emotions, our feelings, and our inner self, kind of like who you are when we're alone, you know, that whole saying. And then with the masculine part of it, it makes me think of the sun, you know, because when I think of masculinity, I think of making moves, taking action. And I know that's like a very like gender role or like gendered way of saying it, so pardon me, but basically what I'm trying to say here is, like, masculine is like very much feeling within your power and kind of like stepping forward. And with the moon part of it being here, basically what I'm trying to say is, I feel like Pile 4, a lot of what you've been doing has been based on your feelings, and you've been making moves, and you have been moving forward in your life through your feelings. You know, a lot of your feelings have dictated a lot of your actions and have inspired a lot of your actions and your thought processes. That's the message I'm trying to convey here, you know. And I feel like with this connect card being in the reward, I feel like what's a lot to be gained here is a better relationship with yourself and consequently a better relationship with others in your life. And a lot of people are going to see that. You know, I'm seeing the eyes, and also it's a triangle, and that makes me think of the apparition tarot because the Empress is a triangle. And so that makes me think of just being abundant and being very nurturing and just having a lot to give. And not saying that like you have to give or anything like that, but basically like if you were put in a position where you wanted to give to somebody, you would be able to. You'd be very abundant. And I think that the risk with it gets better, it almost seems as if though a lot of the risk deals with delaying something, because I feel like with the it gets better, like literally, you know, regardless of the circumstances, I do think that that is a general rule of thumb. No matter what situation you're in, it does get better, you know. With time, things get better. Well, at least most things do. When I said it gets better with time, like I thought of cheese and wine. I don't know what y'all thought of, but hopefully it was cheese and wine as well. I love cheese. I've never tried wine because I'm most certainly not 21. But basically what I'm trying to say here is I think that there's really nothing to lose here, pile 4, and there's everything to gain. But I also feel as if though what there is to lose in the grand scheme of things is time and a lot of good memories. I'm sensing with the amount of hands here, I almost wonder if like you could be getting together with friends, or you're costing yourself time with friends, you're costing yourself time with yourself. I just feel like there's this huge imbalance in your life when it comes to like your relationship with yourself, and I think that that's kind of the risk and the reward. I feel as if though whatever situation you're asking about, I do think that a lot of the risk deals with like your relationship with yourself and kind of, you know, like moving forward. And I don't know how to describe it. I feel like I keep saying like relationship with yourself, and I feel like with this connect card here, what there is to gain is just feeling better about yourself and developing a better relationship with everything, including yourself. I know I keep saying that, but I just think that you've been making a lot of decisions, and I almost wonder if you're at a crossroads right now because you've been so heavily driven by your emotions. And I want to say, pile 4, I'm not trying to say be more realistic, but I also do think that you could benefit a lot from bringing your head into this more and thinking things through more, you know, using some more logic. And I don't think that that's, I hate when people tell me be more realistic, you know, like it's as real as it gets, you know, this reality is as real as it gets. And the reality and how realistic it is that we have no control over what's going to happen anyways, so you may as well hope for the best. And that, sorry, that was like an off tangent rant, but I just want to say, like, pile 4, it will help you to bring your head into this more and think about it more, as opposed to just strictly running off of your feelings. Because just like our head, our feelings can become very biased and very not subjective, or yeah, subjective, not objective. There we go. Wow, I learned something new. But I just feel as if though if we strictly run off of our feelings, we become lost in the feelings and we become over emotional sometimes, and we get worried, and you know, but other times if we rely too much on our thoughts and our, you know, head, we overthink and we start to, you know, just the what ifs come in. So I just feel like pile 4 for you, a lot of the benefits will roll in through kind of, you know, finding balance within both. And I think that the risk here really does deal with losing that balance, or kind of, you know, delaying this it gets better. You know, I feel like you have a very high chance, like not high chance, but I feel like a lot of the risk is a very high chance of you delaying kind of like healing and delaying good memories, because I see a heart here with like bandages on it, but obviously it's still broken. It's just healing, you know. So I feel like with time you'll get better, and I think that there's, like I said, there's nothing to lose except time itself. And I just think that if you keep staying in a stagnant stage, a lot of the readings, every single pile has involves stagnancy in some way. But I feel like for you, it's about delaying a process that's inevitable, you know? Delaying something that's inevitably gonna happen, you know? Whether that be healing from a heartbreak, recovering from something. It's gonna happen with or without your consent, but delaying it and kind of making the situation more difficult is what there is to lose here. And what is to gain is that through this turbulent time of your life, or through this kind of like, how do I say, kind of like this recovery, you know, grace period, you have a chance to really get to intimately know yourself and other people around you. Because, you know, when are we better ourselves than in a situation that causes us to emotionally knee jerk, you know? If something like triggers our emotional reflexes in that moment, are we anybody but our true selves, you know? It's like, I feel like our fears define us so well. And I think that's a morbid way of, like, a kind of like a dark way of looking at it, but that's how I perceive it. And I just feel like there is so much more to gain. Like, what there is to gain here is what there is to be lost. And I've been saying that to a lot of the readings today, but I honestly feel like that's been the perception and the reality of things, is that there's so much more to gain than there is to be lost. And what there is to gain is it's to be lost. What I'm saying, I've been saying this analogy to like all the piles, but it's the sense of, you can gain $50 from doing something, but if you don't do that thing, you don't lose money, but you also don't gain the $50. So in that case, you lost the $50. You know, pile 4, that's kind of the message I'm trying to convey here. And that's kind of the message I've been conveying to like 2 of the other piles. But I just want you to know that, like, I think we're all at a crossroads right now. But for you, it really does deal with the fact that you've gotten over the hard part and you've really made a lot of the hard decisions. And right now, it's like you can gain something so beautiful. So it's like, you know, it's risk free pretty much. Why would you, you know, pass that opportunity up just because maybe there is a situation that solicits something else from you? And what I mean by that is, I feel like because your emotions are kind of leading the way and you're not really thinking too much, at least for some of you, I feel like you are a heart over head person right now. And because of that, it's very easy for you to kind of brush over or kind of like go over situations that could really lead to some amazing growth and a lot of context as to where you can move forward and where you can heal and how you can keep pushing forward in this area of your life. And when I say area of your life, that obviously applies in whichever way you're asking about. But I do think that for a good majority of you, that there is only to be gained here, and what there is to be lost is just kind of like misconstrued by your perception of your reality and how things have been going in the past. Just know that, like, if it was a turbulent time, or if you're going through a turbulent time, like, one day it isn't gonna be that way. So in that case, like, are you really gonna like lose, you know? But I don't know. This is kind of like a random analogy, but I remember when I was little, I was with my cousins and I had the chance to go to New York. And my cousin was like, "No, I don't want to go." And I wanted to stay with her, so I stayed home and I didn't go to New York. And at the time, I didn't regret it, you know. I was like, "Wow, like, I feel safe, I feel comfortable, I'm with my cousin." But looking back, I'm like, "Wow, I really wish I would have went to New York and experienced it," you know. And I feel like that's kind of the context that's this reading is in, you know. It's like, you can stay where you are and you can be comfortable. You'll be happy, and in the long run, like, you'll still pretty much be happy. Like, it won't really affect you. But the opportunities that you can take, it's like, sure, it might be turbulent and it might bring some chaos into your life, but in the grand scheme of things, it's still an experience, and it will be something that you have under your belt, and it will bring you a lot more good than you could have imagined. So yeah, let's get into the tarot. This is the Beauty Tarot. This is the first deck I ever bought when I got to where I live now, like where I'm filming this. So that's the significance of this deck. And it's on Etsy. All the decks I used today are on Etsy except the, I don't know. I'll put it in the description probably or something like that. But I remember I seen this deck on the High Priestess Tarot, the 303 High Priestess Tarot YouTube channel. And I was like, wow, that's beautiful. I want it. And I got it. I got it. Anyways, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna pull one card for each side, like a risk card, kind of like what I have going on here. I don't know why I always over-explain things. Anyways, the risk versus reward for pile 4. Risk versus reward for pile 4. Risk versus reward for pile 4. Alright. So for the risk, first card we have is Magician. And then for reward, we have 10 of Wands. So I've been noticing that in all the readings today that the risk kind of goes hand in hand. Like, it seems as if though the reward is the risk and the risk is the reward, if that makes any sense. In the sense that, like, both cards seem to kind of define each side, but it, like, leans more towards this one. But basically with the Magician being in the risk, I feel like I'm getting this message of, like, potential and, like, a new situation that could, like, really get you going. And I think that in turn, you're risking that, and what it would bring you is a lot of, like, new things. And what I mean by that is because of the 10 of Wands, like, let's be transparent here. The 10 of Wands is literally about hardship, working hard, and, like, if this card literally says burden and hard work, stress, burning out, all of those things. But I honestly feel like with the It Gets Better card and the Connect card here, it almost seems as if though you'd be letting go of that, or you'd be kind of leaving that. And I feel like that's the Magician card here, and that's in the sense that that's what you could be risking, is leaving this state of, like, burden and responsibility and hard work. And I feel like all of the readings, this format is a very nuanced reading in the sense that there's a lot of gray here. There's no black and white. There's no like solid risk, and there's no solid reward. I just feel like it really does depend on your perception of the situation at hand here. And I feel like for you, I feel like for you, your heart and your emotions have made situations out to be something that they're not, or made it to be something a lot more, like, grueling than what it actually is. And I almost wonder if your feelings have almost dramatized the situation, like the risk. And I just want to say, pile 4, with the 10 of Wands being on the reward here, I feel like it would be a payoff of hard work. I feel like whatever you're asking about, the payoff would be your hard work. It would literally be like how much work you've put in is exactly how much you're going to get. And it's also going to measure your relationship with yourself, because you'll kind of, I'm sensing that, like, wow, I didn't know I could even do that. I didn't know I was capable of that. Like, wow, I didn't know I had it in me, just that kind of vibe. And I think that you have a great potential to get to know yourself better. And I know I've been saying that all of this reading, but honestly, pile 4, I feel like with this It Gets Better card, the fear of this risk has probably run from, like, losing yourself in a situation or a relationship or anything of the sorts in the past. And I feel like you're trying to, like, not let that happen again. And if you still are feeling the after effects of that, just know that there are opportunities coming forward, and this opportunity that you're asking about, it has the potential to really provide a lot of context about what kind of person you are, and, like, you have the chance to really learn about yourself and connect with yourself at a deeper level. And maybe that will invite some turbulence into your life, pile 4. That's why I'm saying, like, it's up to you, like, how you move forward. But I'm just saying that a little more turbulence and a little more chaos, it's gonna be difficult, okay? It's gonna be a lot of burdens and a lot of responsibilities. Let's be fully transparent about that, pile 4. But also, simultaneously, you will come out of it having such a deep connection with yourself, and you will really, like, hone your manifestation powers, and you will really hone your ability to take action in regards to your feelings. And I think that all there is to lose right now is just the opportunity itself. Because I do think that with time, different opportunities to kind of, experience this connection with yourself, they're going to repeat themselves. And I do think that, spirit and all of the sorts is just really urging you to understand. Like, I feel like I'm urging you to understand that this isn't the end all be all, like, obviously I'll have another chance to go to New York in the future, but it's just within a timely manner, it's within the time frame that you're comfortable with. And sometimes Like, in the moment, you will seem uncomfortable, but once you actually do it, it will be a lot more fun than you would have thought. Like, I feel like if I went as a kid to New York, it would have been very turbulent, and it would have been kind of annoying because my cousin didn't go, and because of that, I'd be around a bunch of adults, and I was like a youngin'. So I very much wouldn't have been able to take in the area that I had been able to, like, I wouldn't be able to absorb New York City the way I can, like, as like a 7-year-old as I would be able to like a 20-year-old. But the experience is all the same, and it's still an experience, and it's still something that will change you and help you learn. And that's what I'm trying to say, Pile, for it is like, use your own discernment, but understand that your current feelings are irrelevant to the longevity of the situation, because feelings are ever changing, but a memory and an experience is forever. It's as long as you remember it. And I just want you to understand that thoughts, feelings, all those pass within like hours, but a great experience and a moment with yourself that helps you learn is forever. And that's what I feel like that is what's there to lose. You have the ability to gain something so amazing, and if you pass it up, that's totally valid, but also you missed out on something that you would have never known how it would have been. Because it's a double-edged sword. I know I keep bringing this analogy up, but I feel like it's very relevant, because obviously I wouldn't have been able to take in New York the way I would as a 20-year-old if I was a 7-year-old. But simultaneously, that goes back and forth in the sense that I would never be able to take in New York as a 20-year-old the way I would have been able to a 7-year-old. And that's what I'm trying to say here, is that I feel like you understand that this situation is time sensitive, and I almost wonder if that's what's been kind of stressing you out or burdening you. But just understand, Pile, for that there isn't really much to lose when you've gone through the hard part already. This is just kind of like the calm after the storm, where you can kind of just like relax, experience things as you go before you move into the next cycle of your life. So let me pull some more cards here. Not low battery notification. We have 7 of Cups for the risk. Oh yeah, lots of daydreaming. And then for the 4 of Swords, we have 4 of Swords for the reward. I really do feel as if, though, a lot of the reward seems to be a break. Like, I almost wonder if this is like a vacation that you're trying to take here, or like you're trying to go somewhere, and maybe that's why I keep mentioning New York. But maybe you want to go to New York. But I just feel like for some of you, like, or the collective here, honestly, I don't think that it matters who's watching this particular pile. I just think that a lot of the reward deals with you finally getting a break, and you getting, like, inspired, and you finally going to a place, whether it be emotionally, mentally, physically, a place that you feel inspired, a place where you can find power and you can be resourceful, and manifestation powers. I could feel like you have the potential to really just kind of like forge your manifestation powers and make them even stronger. But I just feel like a lot of the risk right now deals with the what ifs, and deals with like the, oh, what if this happens, or like, like daydreaming and kind of like disorienting yourself. And I feel like a lot of that is just like getting more and more misconstrued by your emotions. And I think that you should bring some more logic into this. I think that, write it down on paper, like going to New York for free because I was 7 and I didn't have to pay for anything. You know what I mean? Like, who write down on a sheet of paper, like, go to New York City for free. If I just typed out that on the internet, and it's like, who wants to go to New York City for free? Okay, maybe I would have to provide context on who I am, but you know what I mean, like, just that sentence alone, like, opportunity to go to New York for free. That is crazy, pile 4. But if I involve too many of my feelings or too much of my head in it, it's like I have the possibility to overthink about it, like I just did, like, oh, who am I going with though? But if I feel through it too much, it's like, I'm not so sure about this, I feel like right now a lot of your indecision is what's the risk here, and I feel like you're really risking, like, looking back on a situation than if you were to just take that leap of faith and just kind of take the dive anyways, because I feel like you don't have much to lose here. But I just feel like you have misconstrued it to be like, oh, there is something to lose here because of past experiences, kind of like putting lenses over your eyes, being like, hey, like, if this happened before, what if it happens again? And honestly, like, if it happens again, that's probably a sign that you need to learn something from that situation anyways. So in that sense, are you really losing anything, or are you really risking anything if it's just a lesson that needs to be learned? And on the other hand, it's like you also have the chance to invite something really great into your memories and really take a break from this lifestyle that you've built for yourself, because I feel like you've been overworking yourself. You've really been pushing yourself with this labradorite labradorite stone. Labradorite, honestly, to me, is all about for people who are overworked, or people who work too much, or people who need to take a break. And just understand, pile 4, like, you really do need to take a break, whatever that may be for you. And I just think that maybe you're scared of doing that. Maybe you're scared of, like, taking time off or something like that. But I just think that it will do you a lot more good than you could have imagined, because I feel like your mindset right now has just demonized taking a break and resting. But understand that resting is natural. Like, every species does it. Like, why can't we, you know? Like, I don't know if I've ever seen a fish sleep, but I'm pretty sure they sleep. You know, we've seen lions sleep, you know, we've seen all these strong AF animals take a nap, you know? So why can't we do that, you know? It's like, you know, we're animals too, and we should be allowed to take a break and rest whenever we're feeling overworked, no matter what that overwork looks like, whether it be overworked emotionally, physically, doesn't matter. Like, you deserve to take a break, pile 4. And honestly, the scarcity mindset is real, because I remember when I was working, I was like, it's never enough money, you know, it's never enough, it's never enough. But then when I quit my job, I was like, wow, this is a lot more money than I thought it was. You know, when I was just working, I was like, wow, this isn't enough, because I was so lost in my grind. But then when I quit, I was like, wow, this is like a lot of money, you know. And I'm not trying to like brag or nothing here, but I'm just saying, like, your perception and how you're being treated emotionally, what environment you're in, heavily influences your perception of your resources and your situation at hand. And if you make it out to be like you can't take a break, then that's exactly what it'll come out to be. So yeah, let's pull one more card for each before I kind of wrap things up here. So for the risk, we have 6 of Pentacles. Wow, this deck is so pretty. I need to use it more often. And then for the reward, we have 5 of Pentacles. It's very interesting here, right? Because a lot of the reward cards are negative and a lot of the risk cards are positive. I'm using air quotes because I don't think each card is truly negative or positive, but it's just rather like our immediate, like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean by that. But with the 6 of Pentacles on the risk here, I almost wonder if, like, okay, I feel like what you believe you are risking is all the things that you have painted to be like your savior, or like what is good and what you essentially need to survive. But you need to understand that a lot of the reward will come in this loss. I feel like there is a loss at hand here, and once again, pile 4, like, use your discernment here. I am 1000% that, but I gives you advice and then says, but I don't know at the end. So take that for what it is. But I'm just saying here, pile 4, I really do feel like this situation at hand here, like, what there is to gain is through the loss and through the hardship, you know. It's like, I remember I read this quote, I forgot where it was, but it was in a YouTube comment, and this person was quoting and said, when it seems like you may have been buried, you've actually been planted, you know? And I feel like you should understand that this situation that you're within right now, whatever it may be doing for you, you believe that it's benefiting you, and you believe that it's the way of life and that it's serving you. But honestly, if you were to see how it would be to give up those things, you would realize that there's a lot more to come. And I feel like the very things that are serving you are very much the burden too. And I feel like that's how the risk and the reward are kind of intertwined in your reading, in the sense that, like, it goes both ways, you know, like, the reward is getting rid of that, like, losing it, because what you're losing isn't serving you to begin with, you know? And it's just like, is it really truly serving you if it's holding you back, or if it's keeping you in a stagnant state of life that has caused you so much pain to where you literally have to only rely on time to heal the wounds? I feel like that's how you know, like, we've really been damaged. It's like when we're just sitting there waiting for time to pass and waiting for it to just be like every day is a day farther away from it, you know? It's tragic, you know? How dare that happen to us? How dare anyone or anything put you in a situation where you feel as though you've lost control and all you can do is just wait it out, you know. You don't deserve that pile for it, and you deserve so much better. But honestly, better can't come to you if you have a death grip on what it is that you're holding on to in your life, because it's not serving you anyways. And you may believe, like I said, it may be serving you. And honestly, if you stick with this path, like you'll have moments where you're thriving, you know. But I just feel like if you're going through a hardship right now, this hardship's gonna continuously repeat itself, like time after time, until you finally realize, like, hey, this isn't like a healthy way of being, and I want something different and something that better suits who I am now, or something that will solicit more growth from me and more just beauty and emotional maturity from me, you know. It's like, I think I'm going to sum up this reading by just saying pile 4, the risk is very real. It is very real. Like, there are things to lose here. There are cycles to give up here. But simultaneously, that is exactly what is to be gained, is letting go of something or a situation or a person that is doing nothing for you except just keeping you surviving, you know. You're surviving, that's valid, but you're also passing up opportunities by holding on to this situation that could possibly benefit you and bring you a lot of inspiration and a lot of hope and a lot of relief from the burdens that you deal with on a day-to-day basis, pile 4. And just understand that, like, you need a clear state of mind and you need to respect your emotions more. I feel like maybe for some of you, you haven't even been following your emotions, and that may just be the problem, is that you need to act on your feelings more instead of constantly being a thought-oriented person. But yeah, I think that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for watching, Pile 4. I hope it resonated, this reading resonated. If it did, like, comment, and subscribe. But other than that, I love you so much. Bye.